It's great to speak to you again. How are you?
Right, mate.
It's always a pleasure. And of course, I loved Five Nights at Freddy's like a lot of people. Didn't necessarily expect your character to return. So was it a surprise for you, or did you have the Yellow Rabbit's future mapped out when you came on board that first movie?
Yeah, the funny thing is that the reason, so I sat with the director Emma Tammy early on, and when I read the script, there was not a lot of lines, as you could see in the first movie. In fact, I think I made up 90% of those lines. I only think I had like six actual lines in the script. And I said, why do you want me for this role? It's so small. I don't really see anything for me to do. And she said, well, basically, your character is the Voldemort of this universe, and they won't ever have a movie without your character. And they're gonna make three of these movies, and so I was like, oh yeah, I'm in. So I knew it was coming. I know where it's going, hopefully in success. And so I'm really, there's a lot to do, and I was excited to sort of jump in.
Yeah, and I saw you say in another interview that the film's creative team have really taken that fan feedback on board after the first movie, and now you are, stepping more into the spotlight and playing a bigger role in these films. Was it important
Well,
to you? Well,
yeah, not maybe not so much. I mean, I do think that there's an element that we're building. I think the movies are building to a third. Like their hope and dream is always to do three films. And so a little like Voldemort, you see him a little, then you see him a little more, then you get a big taste of him. So my expectation hopefully is that in the third movie, you'll have a lot of Wayne Afton.
yeah, sure, but it must have been good to know that they were taking back, taking on board what the fans said and what the fans want to see as well, particularly as obviously people loved what you did with the character.
Yeah, I mean, I think that overall the movie benefits from not from listening, right? I think that one of the great things you can do with a movie that has that kind of success that comes back and gets an opportunity to sort of present its second version. Um, Listening and sort of understanding what was great about the first movie and some of the things that you can improve on is one of the boons, one of the great boons of being able to do a second film. So yeah, I'm excited. I think, in the movie is testing great. I think fans are loving it. And the reality is that I think we're just making it's a more exciting film. It has all the legend that you had the first time and all the lore and sort of the things that the fans loved, but there's even more of it this time. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, sounds great. And obviously I know you've got to be careful what you say about the sequel. And as you said yourself, it's really building up to you maybe doing more in a third one. But how did you see how this franchise almost evolved with this second movie, just from your perspective?
Yeah, more set pieces, more action, more fun. I think that one of the great things about the game is that you've got a world in which jump scares happen all the time. It's sort of built on that. And so adding some of those elements into the film, sort of emulating what your experience is when you play the game, I think is really beneficial for this film. One of the things that all the young people that came out to see the first movie is super tame. It's a pretty soft PG. And as they've grown over these last 3 years, they're going to be presented a sort of a bit of a darker, more edgy film. And I think it's interesting is that as they're growing older, we're presenting sort of more of that horror space vibe. And I think the older fans are going to love that. They're going to appreciate that.
Yeah, I know myself watching the first film. I did like how the movie almost tried to push the boundaries of what it could do with PG-13 in like some fun ways, actually. So to see the second one in particular really get creative with that, that must have been a lot of fun for you.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that getting to come back, having like there's a great sequence in the film that I'm really proud of that my character takes place in that I think's really eerie. And getting a chance to play in that world is really fun. I mean, I have played a lot of bad guys in my life. I like playing bad guys. I think you can hurl energy at them and they do really well with that kind of energy. And so I'm in a sweet spot, right? And I sort of love this creative team. I love the community. The one thing I think is surprising for me is that going to cons or interacting with fans, you realize how much it means to them and sort of the weight of that and the understanding the power that this franchise has on the community and sort of respecting that um, is a really lovely thing to have as an actor.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, that first film was released when obviously the strikes were going on. You couldn't really get out there and talk about it, and it was still a massive hit. I think surprised everyone how well it did. And so since then, seeing the way audience have embraced this world and your characters, that's been very special for you.
That was the crazy thing is that we also here in America released a day and date with Peacock. So it was you were able to stream it and the streaming numbers were astronomically high. And so our hope is that in this early window people go out, see it in the film. I mean, this kind of film is meant to be seen in the dark, right?
Yes.
Surrounded by other people, hearing reactions and enjoying the experience. And I think one of the reasons that Five Nights is so popular as a game is that there's such a rich community, right? And so getting out that opening weekend and seeing the other members of your community and sort of having like celebrating what you love in that environment, I think is going to be really impactful and hopefully will lead to a great run in the box office, which will lead to a third film.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And I think, of course, people also celebrated you and Josh when that first film came out. Seeing you both in a big box office hit. I think people were just so excited to see you both on screen in such a big project. So that kind of outpouring of love must mean a lot to you as an actor as well, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm having a moment, right? I think that started with Five Nights. And it's just I've had like, Scream 7 has been
Yeah.
announced, and I'm in Daredevil, which is coming up, and Cross and Carrie, Life of Chuck just came out. So there's a lot happening. And as actors, spending having 10 years in this industry is a boon. Having 30 is a dream. And so yeah, Josh is fantastic. I think both of us are sort of, have these really rich lives, and it's nice that our acting journey is spiking again at this time. I mean, I think both of us have been around for so long, neither one of us takes it for granted. And we're really just appreciative.
Yeah, well, as a fan of your work, it's been awesome to see, and I'm glad you mentioned Daredevil because I'm a huge Marvel fan. We know that you're playing Mr. Charles. He's been called an antagonist and someone who's as influential as the Kingpin. Is there anything you can tell us about your experience on the show and this character that you play in?
It's good. I haven't really been asked that question yet. Yeah, there's not, I mean, obviously working with Marvel, everything's under lock and key. I can tell you that being on that set and working with those men and women, the crew's fantastic. It's probably one of the best I've worked with in my life. And then, D'Onofrio and I get to work together. We did a movie 100 years ago when we were both babies. Getting a chance to work with him again is fantastic. He has such weight and such, not literal weight. He's skinny right now, but he's got like when you look him in the eyes, he carries so much power with him that it's really, it leads to good work. Good writing leads to good work, and I'm excited for I thought last season was really electric, and I think next season's gonna top it. So I'm thrilled for the fans, and I'm excited for people to see the work.
Yeah, and to join obviously the MCU, it's the biggest franchise on the planet. So for you, what an exciting call that must have been to come into this world of Daredevil, which is again kind of like Five Nights. It's just so beloved among fans.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's good. I mean, look, I think as you get into a career and you get into a journey, like you're not thinking about where where the fans are.
Yeah.
You're not, taking a job based on their reaction. You're taking a job based on, does it make sense? Are they going to pay you? Is it work that you'll be proud of at the end of the day? Are you happy to hang that, on your wall of accomplishments, right? And so for me, Daredevil was all of those things, right? It was a chance to be a part of this, big community, which is great, but the work's great, the words are great, the character's super fun, and it was like, I don't know, it's nice I've always wanted to be in that world, in the superhero world. Marvel, DC, obviously with James Gunn now. So it's nice to finally get my feet wet.
Yeah, I cannot wait because yeah, Daredevil's such a great series and a great character. And of course, you mentioned Scream 7 as well. I know that's another one, a lot of secrecy. We've seen a trailer, but to get the call to finally return, I know when I spoke to you a couple of years ago, we said it'd be great to see you back. You weren't sure how they'd do it, but to get that call, how did they sell you on coming back to this franchise after such a long time?
Yeah, they didn't really have to sell me. I mean, it was one of those things where I got a call from Kevin Williamson in the middle of the day when I was on a long walk. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And I was on another call. And I found it weird that Kevin was calling me because he doesn't call me. And I was like, I just seen him like 3 weeks earlier. I'm like, I picked up, I'm like, why are you calling me? He's like, come back. So yeah, it was a shock. Never expected it. In fact, he was out saying, you know, Stu never comes back and franchise doesn't need Lillard. I was like, oh, that's so mean. That's my bit. Like I was beyond the, circuit talking about Stu coming back and sort of being, part of my shtick. But he pitched the idea. I was excited to read it. I got the script a couple weeks later. I think the script's great. I think it's very, I think Wes and would be very proud. It's sort of in the lines of what the franchise used to be. I mean, I think the franchise was in a great place with with that new team. I love Melissa was fantastic. The boys were great. The radio flyer was fantastic directors. But I do think that there's, Kevin Williamson takes just a little sort of more traditional in terms of the Scream franchise. And I think people are going to be excited. I hope it is. I hope they are. I think that early on testing has been through the roof, which is thrilling. And yeah, I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, with Five Nights, obviously Skeet's going to be in this new one, and you've got new casting additions like McKenna Grace, Megan Fox. Must be exciting to see some new blood come into the franchise as well as your return.
Yeah, having Skeet on there is great. I mean, he and I both share the same sort of commitment to fans, right? We do cons all the time. He and I are like road husbands. I see him. I saw him last weekend. I'm going to see him in 2 weekends. Like, so we're together constantly, and um, I think people are going to love our relationship, like when it gets revealed, and he puts the same value on that relationship between the community and our work. And so, I mean, McKenna Grace is like a star. I mean, she's everywhere. She's in Scream 7 as well. She's just like she's blowing up and for great reasons. She's beautiful, charming, funny. She's lovely. She is the future of our industry. And so having her on board is lovely. It's a boon.
Yeah, brilliant. And while I've got you, I know Find Familiar Spirits we talked about a couple of times. I
Yeah,
believe
yeah.
Quest End just come out with Monks. I don't know if you want to maybe talk a little bit about that as well, because
Yeah,
yeah.
it's so funny. I'm literally sitting. I'm not drinking this morning. Yeah, it's out. It's delicious. It's American single malt, which is a brand new category for the TTB, which is the agency that runs the alcohol industry in America. It's cask strength, which means it's got some real heat on it in terms of its alcohol per volume. AVB, I think is what it is. It's proof, but it's delicious. The story continues. We find ourselves on this island, and our druid is fighting these undead army, and along comes this monk. And it's a love story. In fact, when we were breaking the story, when we first started the company, we broke out all 16 stories. And so, it's a love story with a horrible ending, but it's beautiful. And I sort of we're really proud to present it. It's a 9 year and a 6 year blend of single malt, which is very rare in America. Single malt in America is a very new category. So to get 9 years in it in the bottle's really fantastic. And we push forward and keep telling stories.
Awesome. I'm glad you're having such continued success with that. And just one final horror question for you. I think you did mention Carrie. That's one of my favorite Stephen King books. I know you're playing the principal, I think, in that one. So what's it been like to work on that and to experience that world as well? Very different horror world
Yeah,
again.
another first question. Yeah, it's good. We wrapped 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
I've seen the first three episodes. Mike Flanagan's the fastest director I've ever seen in my life. The show is It's so good. It's ridiculous. The only thing that sucks is that people have to wait till next fall to see it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the reality is that, I think Mike Flanagan is one of our great storytellers, American storytellers. He's so deliberate, he's so smart. And I think he cares deeply about the genre, Stephen King, and that storytelling and sort of telling the hero's story, which is Carrie's story, which I think is relatable. He's adapted it to sort of fit within the world that we're living in now. And I think the world's gonna really, I think it's gonna be a big hit for him. I really do. I think for its there's a collection of, I can tell you that it's parents, it's kids, and it's sort of faculty in this world all mixed up into one. And I would call the varsity team, which is the parents and the faculty, which is the older adults, would sit around and watch these kids and just realize that our industry is in such great shape. They're such incredible actors. And so it was really lovely. It's that Mike Flanagan, man, anytime he calls, I'm coming and I'm running to do it. So he's just the best.
Well, amazing. Well, Matthew, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on all these projects and all your continued success. Definitely continuing to establish yourself with an icon status. So, such a pleasure speaking to you.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much, brother.
Have a great day. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks.
Cheers.